relationships, she says, just shorter ones. She continues, it's not like I haven't had contact with another person romantically or sexually for 5 years. I've had plenty of encounters. I've even had some relationships here and there. They're just super short-lived. I think the longest was a whopping 6 weeks. This is part of a reason I get so upset about being single for so long, because I feel like I can't hold down a relationship. This is where she actually believes that we believe that because she's been single for 5 years, she must be living the life of a nun. It is beyond me why females think that by saying, I haven't been in a relationship in 3 years, that we think it means their legs have been snapped shut the entire time. Miss Testa reveals that she, and other women who use this phrase, assumes that we assume she hasn't hooked up with anybody during that time, which is exactly why she said, it's not like I haven't been intimate with anyone in 5 years. I've had plenty of encounters, she says. That means I've had plenty of bedroom fun. So if you've been in, quote, shorter relationships, then why are you telling us you've been single for 5 years? I know, because one-night stands, Miss Testa, and friends with benefits arrangements aren't relationships, and you know it. Girls know that if a man chooses to be in a relationship with her, it means they are useful to him outside of intimacy. This girl told us that she's been single for 5 years, which is obviously not good. But then she wants to save face by telling us, well, I've had relationships, just shorter ones. No, sweetheart. Getting plowed in the bathroom at the bar isn't a relationship. Sleeping with a guy for 2 weeks without ever finding out what his last name is isn't a relationship. Getting your back blown out by a Tinder date 48 minutes after you met isn't a relationship. Calling these relationships super short-lived doesn't fool anybody. And that 6-week relationship she talked about was probably with a dude with a girlfriend that she knew about, but held out hope that he would leave his girlfriend for her, even though she knowingly played second fiddle to another woman. Again, Miss Testa, not a relationship. That was a man who simply used you to pass the time when his girlfriend was at work. Nothing more. 5 years, she says, is a long time for me not to be in a long-term relationship. She continues, some people are in LTRs back to back. I mean, it's none of my business what other people are doing, but it's hard not to compare. I've just been alone for a lot of 5 years, and I haven't found the right person to settle down with yet. Oh, now she wants to blame men. Now she wants to play the, my standards are so high, I just haven't found the right guy to settle down with card. This one's simple, guys. It's not that she hasn't found the right person. It's not that she's been telling these guys, sorry, you don't make the cut. No, baby girl, it's the other way around. You're not rejecting anybody. These guys are rejecting you. What this chick just said is the equivalent of, you can't fire me because I quit. Whatever helps you sleep at night, hon. About half the time, she says, it has been by choice. She continues, I say I've been single for a while, but at least half the time has been an intentional choice. I've consciously made the decision to be alone. I've had mixed feelings about this, both loving being single and hating it. Sometimes I adore the free time I have for myself, and other times, all I want to do is fill up that time with another person. And this, gentlemen, is where the truth comes out when any woman says she's been single for an extended period of time. You see, she's chosen to be single, as in, I want to have random hookups without being tied down because I want to hook up. But what she's not telling us is that the half of the 5 years where she chose to be single is the first half. You see, the first 2.5 years, she had no interest in being in a relationship. She had dudes throwing sausage at her from every direction at all hours of the day and night. Being the impulsive creatures they are who lack temperance, discipline, and self-control, they indulge in the endless buffet of men. But somewhere along the way, say, probably around 28, 29 years old, she found herself wanting to be in a relationship. Not because she was tired of hooking up, but because she started to notice the attention she got from guys in her early 20s starting to dwindle. Oh, these guys still want to hook up with her, but she started to notice that they're not getting as attached like they used to. They weren't suggesting exclusivity in the form of a committed relationship like they were back when she was 21, 22 years old. So halfway through her little 5-year binge, she decided to test the water a little bit, see if she still got it. And when she said, hey, you want to take this thing to the next level? And he said, no thanks, I'll pass. But we can't eliminate the safe word. She said to herself, uh-oh, these guys don't want to commit anymore. I better find a boyfriend ASAP. And that was the start of the second half of this little 5-year relationship drought, where she was now angling for relationships and getting shot down. So here she is, now 2.5 years after she discovered that her time ran out, writing an article about the 5 years of being single and then disingenuously telling us that half of it was by choice, which will lead us to believe that she went back and forth about wanting relationships as though she had opportunities for relationships throughout the entirety of these last 5 years, when in actuality, it is the last half and only the last half where the decision to be alone and not in a relationship hasn't been made by her, rather made for her. Nice try, Janelle, but I'll give you credit here. You almost slipped that one past us. I've really needed to be alone at times, she says. There have been a few instances where the right thing to do was to be alone. For example, I was spending hours a day on dating apps and going out on multiple first dates a week. I was out of control, she says. When a friend had an intervention with me, I realized it was really time to take a deep breath and just be by myself for a while. Are you kidding me? An intervention? So let me get this straight. You were hooking up with so many guys in such a short amount of time, a friend of yours decided to stage an intervention? This means that this chick was straight up getting ran through, and she was getting plowed by so many dudes that even her promiscuous friends were uncomfortable with how many dudes she was hooking up with. And let's not let this little phrase get away. She said multiple first dates a week. So she's going on all these first dates every week, which means there's not a second date the next week, just first dates every week, which means she's hooking up with every single dude she meets on the first date. This girl is out of control, guys. We all know that girls get passed around on the regular. That's common knowledge. But anytime a female's friends have to stage an intervention because even they are uncomfortable with the number of men she's hooking up with, she is the worst of the worst. This chick probably has so much male DNA floating around in her that her genetic code's probably been completely rewritten. She's got brown eyes now, but she was probably born with blue eyes. Jesus Christ. I know there is hope for me, she says. Despite sometimes thinking I'm a piece of dirt, I know there's hope for me. I love the person I am, and I know that someone else will love me too. This is just a phase I have to go through. It's important to maintain the hope that someday I'll find the right person and I won't be just using them to get outside of myself. Gentlemen, this girl knows there's no hope for her, and she hates the person she is. Now, how do I know she hates the person she is? Because she engages in self-destructive behavior. Guys, you go to her website, you'll see what she looks like. She has all of the banana gobbler tells. Bull ring piercing, which is body mutilation. That's self-harm, which means lack of self-worth. Large visible tattoos she have. Same category. Females who have low self-worth seek self-worth by hooking up with a lot of guys to give themselves a sense of self-worth. Well, hopping from guy to guy never does the trick, because despite what they say out loud, they know that any girl could engage in this kind of behavior without even trying. Which means the validation they're seeking is status quo. A woman can get hookups for simply being in existence. She sometimes thinks she's a piece of dirt because she is. Her mind keeps telling her all of these things. The writing is on the wall, but she simply cannot acknowledge it because if she does, things will spiral downhill in a hurry. And she knows it, which is why she lies to herself by saying she knows there's hope for her. No, sweetheart, this is not a phase. This is your station in life and it will not change. The reason you and women like you have to maintain hope that you'll find the right person is because if you don't, you'll be prescribed another antidepressant. Because if you actually admit to yourself that you'll never be in a relationship of consequence with a man you respect and love, you'll engage in even more self-destructive behavior. But sometimes I still feel hopeless, she says. I may sound like I'm all over the place here, but it's just not so simple. I have a lot of hope, but sometimes I also have hopelessness. It feels like I'm never going to find the right person or be in a happy relationship. I sometimes see this gap of time I've had as single as a failure, even though that's not true at all. She is all over the place, and it is that simple. She only tells us she has a lot of hope because she knows she's hopeless. She keeps telling us, I have hope, but who is she really trying to convince here? And every time it comes out of her mouth, her mind shocks her right back into reality by telling her, Janelle, stop lying to yourself, hon. You're not worthy of commitment. These are what she thinks when she is left to her own thoughts, which are honest and real. Then she says she sometimes sees this gap as a failure, but then she wants to believe it's not true? Dude, this chick is thinking out loud in this article. It's like her mind is at odds with itself and we're seeing the actual thought process play out. Sweetheart, you've been single for 5 years and it is a failure. You keep thinking these thoughts because it's the truth and you know it. Now go pop a pill so you can continue to be delusional about your hope. I'm putting work, she says, into personal growth. I'm spending this time wisely, really working on myself. I'm even in a relationship and sex 12-step program. I'm examining my patterns and trying to build a new thought process and actions around them. I'm bettering myself as a person through school, a sport, and being the best friend, daughter, sister I can be. This will all benefit me, she says, when I start seeing someone. Oh, now she wants to work on personal growth. Now she wants to not sleep with a guy a half an hour after she meets him. She's in a 12-step program designed to try to reprogram her mind not to be a hoe. Here's a thought. How about working on your personal growth when you're, 16, 17 years old, when you're at the dawn of your prime fertility? That way, you won't have to untrain yourself not to bounce from dude to dude. The fact that this woman thinks that she can just work on herself and undo all the damage that's been done to her by hooking up with all these dudes is laughable. The fact that she thinks it's actually going to increase her value, that's just sad. This woman actually believes that she can just take up a new sport, go back to school, and stop being selfish, and all of a sudden, men aren't going to see her for what she really is, which is just a receptacle with pink hair. Or was it purple hair?